Okay, uh, we're in module or week two, uh, and we're talking about Pascal's law and force multiplication. There's a video that I'm going to video, and I'm going to pause that video and talk about it from time to time. You'll see this video again or you'll see maybe not my video, this video with me talking, but a video with this cartoon looking guy and explaining the same thing that we're going to discuss while we're watching this video. If you understand that, that's good. So let's get the video going and we'll watch it. Let him get
Understanding
going.
the basics of hydraulics. Ever wonder how big, heavy machineries are able to move such heavy loads? Mining equipment, construction machinery, and any other industrial or mobile machinery that requires movement of heavy loads are often using hydraulic technology. To understand the basics of hydraulics, we can start by understanding pressure and Pascal's law. Pascal, as in French philosopher and scientist Blaise Pascal, who was born in June 19, 1623 in Clermont-Ferrand, France, and died in August 19, 1662 in Paris, France. Pressure is force exerted over an area. And Pascal's law says pressure applied to an enclosed fluid will be transmitted without a change in magnitude to every point of the fluid and to the walls of the container. The pressure at any point in the fluid is equal in all directions. For example, assume we have a 1-inch cube container. Each side of the container is 1 inch long, and each face of the container will be 1 square inch. And let's say we have a lid that seals the container, yet it is able to slide up and down inside the container. If we fill the container with water, and we close the container and try to push it down with the lid, the amount of force pushing down on the container will be transmitted without a change in magnitude through the water pushing in all directions against the walls of the container. If you apply 10 pounds of force pushing down on the lid of the container, you will get 10 pounds of force pushing in all directions against the walls of the container.
Okay, he's saying if we push down with 10 pounds, we're going to get 10 pounds uh, of pressure in all directions. Okay, now we'll get to where we can prove that here in just a minute. Let's go on a little bit, but you see what we're talking about. The same amount of pressure goes out to all six walls, or the I guess ever how many there are there, but in all directions, and it's the same. So let's go a little bit further.
The units to measure pressure are psi, meaning pounds per square inch. In this example, we will have 10 psi of pressure pushing in all directions.
Where did that come from? That 10 pounds per square inch pushing in all directions. Where did that come from? Well, I think we're going to learn that in as part of Pascal's formulas that pressure is uh, is the force divided by the area. So the force is 10 pounds, and pressure is the force here, 10 pounds, divided by the area, which is 1 inch square. So that's 10 pounds per square inch. That's the feet. 10 psi, 10 pounds per square inch. That's where that's coming from. He's taken 10 pounds and dividing it by 1 square inch, which is this right here. 1 times 1 is 1.
Now, let's say we have a different container with two sides open. One side is 10-inch square area for the opening, and the other side has 50 inches square for the opening. If we push down with 100 pounds of force against the 10-inch square area, it will create equal pressure within the container pushing in all directions, and we will be able to lift a load of 500 pounds standing on the 50-inch square area of the container. Consider the hydraulic formulas of F equals P times A, or P equals F divided by A, in which F equals force measured in pounds, P equals pressure measured in pounds per square inch, and A equals area measured in square inches. If
So I'm going to interrupt here just for a second and let's see if we can catch up with him. He said in this case, if we have an open ending, this whatever we want to call this thing, where that we're pushing down over here with 10 pounds, and what we're pushing against is an area of 10 square inches. So go look up here. Let's see where we're. How in the world are we going to get this 500 pounds? So the the force is 100 pounds. So pressure is pressure is force divided by area. So let's take this force and divide it by the area of 10, and what does that give us? I think I know, but I'm going to put it on the calculator anyway. The force is 100 pounds divided by 10 square inches equals 10. All right. So what we're going to end up with is 10 psi. Let's just let him tell us that, but that's where this 10 psi is. I'm a little bit ahead, and we could go ahead and figure this out because this force right here. Well, let's let him tell us. I'm getting too far ahead.
we have 100 pounds of force divided by 10-inch square, it will be equals to 10 psi. Now, if you take 10 psi times 50-inch square from the larger opening, it will be equals to 500 pounds of weight that you will be able to lift with just 100 pounds of effort coming from the smaller opening of the container.
Everybody gets that, right? 10 divided by, 100 pounds of force divided by an area of 10 square inches equals 10 psi, because force divided by area equals pressure. Force divided by area equals pressure. So here's the force divided by the area, and here's this is to finish it out. This is the 10 the pressure times area here. See, we got the area is much bigger here, so we have 10 pounds. We multiply that times 50 square inches because our area is so large, and we get 500 pounds. I'll let him finish it out.
In this example, we are able to lift 5 times more the weight in relation to the effort pushing down on the fluid. However, we are only able to move 500 pounds, 1/5 of the distance in relation to the movement of the 100 pounds weight. If
Now, uh, uh, I don't. I'm going to let him finish this, but this is real important right here. This is the cost of force multiplication. Uh, It took us 50 inches to move this 10 inches, but we did lift 500 pounds, but we lost a lot of distance here. and I'll let him continue.
If we push the 100 pounds weight 50 inches down, it will only move the 500 pounds weight 10 inches up. This is because the fluid displacement is the same on both sides of the container. 10-inch square area from the smaller opening times 50 inches round down distance equals 500 cubic inches. Same as 50-inch square area from the larger opening times 10 inches run up distance equals 500 cubic inches. In a hydraulic system, if you want to lift 4,000 pounds of weight and you have a cylinder that is 2-inch bore diameter by 1-inch rod diameter and 5-inch stroke is the distance in which you can extend and retract the cylinder, and the inch square area that you're going to use to push the rod in the cylinder would be 3.1416 inch square.
Okay, where does that 3.1416 inches square inches? That's the area of this cylinder right here. The stroke is where you get your volume. This volume area is area times depth, and this is depth. Uh, so let's look at this. Let's see where this 3.1416 inches square came from. That's the area of a circle. I'm going to back off here. I was going to talk about this a little more, but let's see how far he takes us.
The formula to calculate the area is diameter square times 0.7854 equals area in inch square.
Okay, right quick, I'm going to shift on you. This 0.7854, where in the world did that come from? I was always educated, brought up to believe that to find the area of a circle, it's the radius square pi. Uh, radius, the radius squared times pi would give you the area of a circle. Well, this is what's called a constants, and I want to show you where it comes from, just so you'll know and trust it. He's saying that you take the diameter of this piston, which is 2 inch right here, and you square it and multiply it time. That's all we're doing. We're taking the diameter of the 2 inch, I'm saying piston, it's the cylinder, which is the same as the diameter of the piston. I'm saying we take that 2 inch piston and we need to find the area. And this video is telling me that all I got to do to find the area is to take that diameter, multiply it times itself, square it, and then multiply that times 0.7854 will give me the area. And so he's saying this, he's doing it right here. He's taking the 2 inch bore and squaring it, which will make it 4, and he's multiplying 4 times 0.7854. Let me do that to see if if that's right. If not, if he's right, if I'm right in the way I'm explaining it. So he's saying the 2 inch squared is 4 times 0.7854. Let me do that. 4 times 0.7854 equals, it equals what pi equals. This is a coincidence, but it's okay. It does equal 3.1416 square inches. So I'm going to go through this in longhand over here. I feel like I have it here. Let's see. Yes, I think I do. Bear with me. Voila, here we go. Now, this is the way I've always dealt with the area of a circle. And I don't know why. It has to do when I had to start dealing with so many cylindrical volumes and when I got deeper into hydraulics. But this is the way I've always done it. Pi, which is 3.1416, times the diameter squared, which in their case was 2. So let me do what they did. Just a second. 2 squared, and I carried it on out because I want to get rid of these parentheses. So I say 3.1416 times, well, I was doing with 3 here, with 4 goes right here to get rid of the parentheses. 4, and this is old stuff, sorry about that. So let's see where we are here. So I've got 3.1416. And I'm going to multiply that times 4. And that's going to give me 12.5664. And then I'll divide that by 4, as I have over here. And that's going to be divided by 4 equals 3.1416. So I'm feeling like a little bit more comfortable. I know it works with this formula, but let's go down here. Let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of this. This was when I was working a problem for myself with a 3-inch diameter. So what we have here is the diameter squared here is 4 multiplied by 0.7854. Let's see what that brings us. 4 times 0.7854 equals. It equals the same thing, 3.1416. Well, that's going to be square inches, as in his problem. 3.1416 square inches. So, but let me show you something. Take this little piece right here of this formula that does work. Now then, take that and let's put it down here by itself. And let's divide just this little segment right here. Let's divide 3.1416 by 4 like we're doing all the way across here. And so what does 3.1416 divided by 4 equal? Just one second. 3.1416 divided by 4 equals, can you believe it? Can you see it? Probably not, but there it is. It's not gonna, you're not gonna, there it is, 0.7854. So that right here equals, I'm taking pi right here and I'm dividing it by 4, and look what I'm getting. 0.7854. So you see, it wasn't made up. It came from somewhere. So the short story of that long explanation is, if you want to use the formula that I've always used, which I may change finally after convincing myself today after working through this, if you want to take the square of the diameter in this case, which would be 4, if you want to take that and multiply it by 0.7854 in future problems and do away with all of this extra stuff, I'm okay with that. Because as you can see in his video up here, that's what he did. He just didn't have time to explain where the 0.7854 came from. So we got that explained. Now, I want to continue with the video. I won't interrupt unless I feel like we need to explain something, and then I may interrupt and not be able to explain it. So be prepared for that, but we'll figure it out. So let's just go on with him.
If we want to lift 4,000 pounds with this cylinder, we will use the formula P equals F divided by A. So we have 4,000 pounds divided by 3.1416 inch square equals 1,273.2365 psi.
Now, just making sure, uh, I'll slack up here in a bit, I hope. Uh, but he's wanting to lift 4,000 pounds, so he's using the formula pressure equals force divided by the area. So he's using that area we had before, 3.1416 square inches, and he's taken the force, which is this, and he is dividing it by the area to get the pressure. And the pressure here is what is it, 1,273.2365 pounds per square inch. And then don't know what he's doing up here. Let's go on and see if he's even using this up here. I think he will.
If we input, say, 2.042 GPM or gallons per minute into the cylinder at a minimum of 1,273.2365 psi, then the cylinder will extend and lift 4,000 pounds.
Okay, got to interrupt just for a second. He's going to use this in two occasions where we're lifting 4,000 and we're using the same pressure, I think, to lift 8,000. We're just going to change the cylinder size or something like that, but we'll get there. But what I want to explain to you is this new thing that he's popped in, gallons per minute. You will get to this. This is called flow rate. And this is for instance, is what he's saying. If we're getting 2.042 gallons per minute, he's saying in under that condition we'll get this. I'm thinking he's using this as an example. It may be a different gallons per minute, but to change that gallons per minute, it would change what you could or couldn't lift. But I just want you to know that this is not necessarily this right here is not totally relying on 2.042 gallons per minute. He's just saying, let's say that's what we're getting here. So let me go on with this.
But what if you want to lift 8,000 pounds instead? Then you can say 8,000 pounds divided by 3.1416 inch square equals to 2,546.4731 psi. You could just increase the working pressure.
Okay, he just increased the working pressure. That's what he needs to get this 8,000 pounds. He hasn't increased the diameter. Notice that, but he's getting 8,000 pounds by he's finding out that he can keep all of these the same, but if he increases the working pressure, which almost doubled it, he can lift 8,000 pounds. A lot of this stuff you might be aware of is when something doubles, you got a factor of two. So he in your mind when you're thinking about these things, just realize that you're probably going to need to, whatever this is, if you've got a 2 to 1, I call it a force factor, and there'll always be in force multiplication, there'll be a factor, and sometimes it's small, less than 1 to 1. And but you can see he's on the right track. Now let's continue on.
But big warning, before increasing pressure in the system, you need to make sure all hydraulic components are rated to the pressure you're working with, or your system might just blow up like this. Boom! So, if you don't want your hydraulic system to blow, you might just want to keep the maximum pressure within the pressure rating of your components. Say this particular system has a max working pressure of 1500 psi. Then you will need a bigger area cylinder to lift the higher load to stay within the limits of your system. Say a cylinder that is 3 1/4 inch bore by 1 3/4 inch rod by 5 inch stroke.
Okay, I'm going to let him go through with this. I might stop it again and try to clear my head and help you get yours straight with this. Or you might already be that way. But what he's doing, he's adjusting things to stay, to still be able to lift something, but to stay within the rated capacity of 1500 psi. So he's going to get a bigger uh, uh, area, and he can do it with and still stay within that. That's because behind him right here, recall we were at 1,200 pounds per square inch, so uh, a little bit more than that perhaps. But anyways, staying within that area. Let's see what he has to say to finish this.
The working area to push the rod in this cylinder will be 8.2958 inch square.
Okay, now let me stop. Just so you're with me. Here we're going back to that constant, right? He's saying that 3.25 squared times 0.7854 is 8.295787 square inches. And you can see it over here rounded off. Let's go. So say all he's doing is what I just showed you. Take the diameter squared, multiply it by this constant of 0.7854.
That is a rounded figure. We have 3.25 square times 0.7854 equals 8.2957875 inch square for the area of this new bigger cylinder. The new numbers in the formula to calculate pressure for this cylinder will be 8,000 pounds divided by 8.2958 inch square equals 964.3434 psi.
So see what he's done? He's starting out with what he knows he needs to lift, and he's got a much larger area or much larger diameter, which gives him a larger area. And he's taken the formula of force divided by area equals uh, pressure. So he, by increasing the cylinder size and the piston size, which all goes together, the piston is the same. OD of the piston is the same as the ID of the cylinder. And that's what he's done to accommodate this 1,500 pounds. He's working with under 1,000 pounds of pressure, but he's still lifting a larger load, the 2 to 1, the 8,000 pounds. So this is a lot of this. What I want you to understand in this program is how to size a cylinder for the load you want. You know, the first thing you know is you got this. So what do I need to stay within these limits to lift this, to move this force, and what are the psi's I need? You know, given this area to move this force. So again, the force is 8,000 divided by this, and it tells him what pressure he can have, and that keeps him within this. Let's see how much more this we got.
So if you input
Okay.
2.042 GPM at 964.3434 psi into your new cylinder, then the cylinder will lift a load of 8,000 pounds.
Now, this is probably the last interruption he's about through. He may have one more. But here again, he's staying with the same gallons per minute, but I don't want you to go away from here thinking that to do this, you have to have a flow rate of 2.042 in each of these. It could be something different. I just want you to understand that.
But if you will notice, the bigger cylinder moves slower than the smaller cylinder.
Why is that? Why does the the bigger cylinder? What could I do to make this bigger cylinder move as fast as that? And why is it moving slower? Well, you see the flow rate is 2.042 gallons per minute. Same here. But look at all this volume. Look how long it's going to take just to fill the cylinder. And you've got to fill the cylinder all the way up till your flow rate meets resistance, and then you start building pressure, and then you move the load. It's not so much that it's the load's going up slower because it's heavier, it's going up slower because of the size piston you had to go to right here, up here in the right hand corner. You had to go to this larger piston, which means you have a bigger cylinder here to fill up. And you got to fill that whole thing up till it meets resistance right here. So that's what takes it longer to move. And this we'll get into this at a much greater detail when we start getting into what we call actuator speed. In other words, how fast is the bucket opening on the back on the excavator or the backhoe? How fast is the boom raising? You know, well, it depends on all of these things we just talked about. And our job in this course is to take these scattered ideas based on one single law, really, and that's Pascal's law, and put it to use. Let's see if he's got anything else to
And that
say.
is because you're using the same flow rate of 2.042 GPM for both cylinders. The bigger cylinder has more area, and it will take more time to extend the cylinder with the same flow rate as the smaller cylinder. How can we calculate proper flow rate for the bigger cylinder to move within a certain speed that we want? Please make sure to like and subscribe as we
Okay, what this is they have more videos on this that gets into flow rate and actuator speed and things like that, and so will we. So I'm going to end this again. You'll see this one more time, I'm afraid, before you get through with week 2, and that'll be in the tailgate. But I'm going to put this up for you to look at this or view this, pause it, think about it. You come up with questions, ask me, and be sure to have questions for the discussion in week 2, which we'll be talking about this video. Thank you. Thank you. Have a good whatever day or week it is.